Chapter 91 Comrade Fugaku glanced at me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The newly acquired Kamui space that Uchiha Okayama got is similar to the one in Uchiha Obito. There is nothing in it. It can be used as a space prison to receive people directly inside. As long as the person is taken in, his life or death is entirely up to Uchiha Okayama. Even if the tailed beasts are taken in, there is no need to worry about them being able to escape. Of course, this Kamui space also has flaws, that is, it cannot trap people who are proficient in time and space ninjutsu. As long as he has his space mark in the ninja world like the fourth Hokage, then he can consume a lot of chakra to draw from Kamui. Escape from space, and if you don't know any time and space ninjutsu, then you can only stay in it obediently and pray that the owner of the space will not forget you and let you starve to death in the space. After checking his own eyes, Uchiha Okayama was about to go to the Gao Tianyuan space when he suddenly found that the Great Elder beside him had already come to him. Uchiha Okayama postponed the idea of going to Takamagara and looked at the Great Elder who came over. The Great Elder came to Uchiha Okayama, pointed at himself, and said, "This time I will go to Whirlpool Island with you, please take me in." After hearing the words of the Great Elder, Uchiha Okayama realized that the Great Elder was dressed differently than usual. He had already put on combat uniforms. It seemed that he was well prepared. Uchiha Okayama looked at the Great Elder in confusion. When they discussed it yesterday, the Great Elder did not say that he would follow them to Whirlpool Island. The Great Elder Uchiha Ling saw Uchiha Okayama's puzzled expression and said angrily, "You think I am willing to go? Isn't it good to sit here? I only found out last night that this bastard Uchiha Fugaku. I left my pregnant wife at home and went to Whirlpool Island to lead the tribe to expand their territory. Is this old man such an unkind guy? I am going to Whirlpool Island to exchange him and let him come back to spend more time with me. Stay with your wife." Uchiha Okayama was shocked when he heard the elder's words. He suspected that the elder already knew about him and Sister Mikoto and was trying to contain him here. However, Uchiha Okayama took a closer look at the elder's face and found that he was scaring himself. The elder was simply talking to him, rather than having doubts about him. However, Uchiha Okayama still felt a little uncomfortable. After all, he knew very well that Sister Mikoto's pregnancy had nothing to do with Uchiha Fugaku. However, it was not easy for Uchiha Okayama to object. After all, what the elder did was right no matter how you looked at it. However, Uchiha Okayama felt uncomfortable whenever he thought of Uchiha Fugaku and Mikoto-san living under the same roof. But if Uchiha Okayama wanted to kill Uchiha Fugaku for no reason, Uchiha Okayama couldn't do it. After all, he had done something wrong, and he felt sorry for Uchiha Fugaku. There was no reason for Uchiha Fugaku to pay the price of death because of his own fault. Uchiha Okayama thought for a while and had an idea in his mind. Without saying anything, he took the Great Elder directly into the space. After the two entered the Takamagara space, Uchiha Okayama glanced around and saw the hundreds of new Uchiha tribesmen who came in. Although they were whispering to each other, they were all honest and did not run around randomly. After the Great Elder arrived, he looked at the surrounding environment and was shocked. Because the surrounding environment was completely different from what he had seen before, it turned out that these hundreds of people were in a huge confined space. They were surrounded by thick wooden boards on all sides, heads and feet, and the torches placed on the surrounding walls were the only source of light. The Great Elder looked around and asked in a low voice in Uchiha Okayama's ear, "What are you doing? Where are you?" That when Uchiha Okayama saw that the elder was also startled by him, he couldn't help laughing, and then explained to the elder, "Elder, don't worry, we are still on the original island. This is where I used the wood escape last night. A sealed wooden house built specifically to transfer a large number of tribesmen. You also know that this island is my trump card to save my life. I can expose it as little as possible, so that the tribesmen will only think that this is a time and space ninja. It is a transfer station for magic, and there is no doubt that it is in another dimension." The Great Elder heard Uchiha Okayama's words and nodded approvingly. "You did a good job. You were able to think of this method and you really put your heart into it. To travel in the ninja world, you have to keep some trump cards, otherwise, you will wait for the enemy. Once you know all your trump cards, you are not far from death." Uchiha Choshan felt a little proud when he saw that the elder also agreed with his method. It was not in vain that he took a short rest last night and specially created such a place. Immediately afterwards, Uchiha Choshan brought the Great Elder to Whirlpool Island. Uchiha Fugaku and the others, who had been notified in advance on Whirlpool Island, had already greeted them here, but Uchiha Fugaku didn't know that the Great Elder came with him this time. When he saw the Great Elder, he was also startled. He quickly came up to him and asked, "Great Elder, why are you here too?" After all, the Great Elder has been sitting in the clan territory of Konoha village. This time he came directly without even saying hello. Uchiha Fugaku thought something happened in the clan territory. At this time, the Great Elder directly pulled Uchiha Fugaku aside and began to give him a separate lecture. After all, Uchiha Fugaku was also the clan leader and he had to take his face into consideration. What's more, he was able to leave his wife behind when she was pregnant. Leading the tribe here to expand the territory, although the method is not advisable, but the spirit is commendable, the elder didn't know that Uchiha Fugaku was also forced to be energetic. After all, he hadn't touched his wife for many years, and he didn't know that his wife was pregnant. Just when Uchiha Fugaku was pulled aside by the elder, Uchiha Choshan glanced guiltily, said hello to Uchiha Shisui, Uchiha Itachi and others who were waiting, and came to the side. In the open space, all the clan members in Gao Tianyuan space were moved out. After Uchiha Choshan moved all the clan members out, he glanced at the Great Elder and Uchiha Fugaku again, and happened to meet the expressionless Uchiha Fugaku's eyes. Uchiha Choshan smiled awkwardly, and quickly talked to him. Uchiha Shisui on the side went to reminisce about the past. The tribesmen who had just been transferred by Uchiha Choshan were shocked when they saw the surrounding environment and the sea in the distance. After all, these people had basically never traveled far, let alone seen the sea. They were all shocked by the vastness of the sea. They were only notified to gather at Nanga's shrine to build a new clan territory. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, they were sent to this island and saw the legendary sea. Chapter 92 The Rewritten Uchiha Itachi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Choshan came to Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi with a bright smile on his face. Before he spoke, he opened his arms and hugged Uchiha Shisui hard, and then hugged Uchiha Shisui hard with his hands. She slapped his back twice, as if this was not enough to express her feelings. Uchiha Shisui felt the enthusiasm of Uchiha Choshan, and a smile from the heart appeared on his originally calm face. After all, geniuses are inherently lonely, and Uchiha Shisui is a genius, so he does not recognize many friends, including Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Choshan. What's more, Uchiha Choshan lived up to his trust and saved him and the Uchiha clan from the abyss of death and genocide. You know, Uchiha Shisui is a person who values his tribe more than his own life. Just because Uchiha Choshan saved the entire Uchiha clan, it is enough for him, Uchiha Shisui, to die. Therefore, although Uchiha Shisui said nothing about the arrival of Uchiha Choshan, he was also happy from the bottom of his heart. Uchiha Itachi, who was standing aside, looked at them quietly. When he saw the two hugging each other, the corners of his mouth curled up slightly. These days, when Uchiha Shisui was carrying out missions with him and exploring the entire Whirlpool Island, he told him everything Uchiha Choshan had done, which greatly touched his whole person. He did not expect that an Uchiha, except the eldest brother Shisui whom he recognized was another person who was silently saving the Uchiha clan and successfully resolved the conflict between him and the village. After brother Jisue told him about Shisui's death and the fate of the Uchiha clan being annihilated, he had doubted whether Uchiha Choshan had deceived Shisui and everyone. However, Uchiha Shisui never revealed it. The kaleidoscope, or Uchiha Itachi awakened the kaleidoscope through the death of Uchiha Shisui, and from the attitude of the Uchiha clan towards Konoha village, we can infer the relationship and direction of the Uchiha clan and Konoha village, all of which explain Uchiha Choshan indeed has a pair of eyes that can see the future. As for the future of Uchiha Itachi, although Uchiha Choshan has never said anything about it, as the eldest son of the Uchiha clan leader and a genius of the Uchiha clan, this shows that he is the absolute heir of the Uchiha clan, the clan leader. If he dies, he will inherit the clan leader. Since the Uchiha clan has been exterminated, Konoha village will never let him go. His fate, Uchiha Itachi, is either death or a rebellious ninja who fled Konoha. Therefore, he is completely willing for the Uchiha clan to leave the Leaf Village and move to Whirlpool Island. In this way, Brother Shisui will not die, the Uchiha clan will not be exterminated, his parents will not die, and his favorite brother will not die. Sasuke can also live and grow up healthy, and he does not have to be caught between the Uchiha clan and the Leaf Village. Otherwise, he will inevitably betray one of the two groups he loves most in the end. Moreover, there is also the mysterious man who is peeping at the Uchiha clan in the dark. He should also be very passive by this move of the Uchiha clan. Uchiha Itachi secretly thought that he had been highly vigilant about this mysterious man found near the clan, or that he was deliberately discovered by him. And it is not easy for the Uchiha clan who came to Whirlpool Island through time and space ninjutsu to be discovered by him again. Therefore, Uchiha Itachi has a very friendly attitude towards Uchiha Qiaoshan. After all, Uchiha Qiaoshan saved his tribe, parents, Shisui brother, Sasuke and his fate. Therefore, in Uchiha Itachi's view, Uchiha Qiaoshan is a person who can entrust his life and hope. What's more, Uchiha Qiaoshan is still the master of his younger brother Sasuke. This status makes Uchiha Itachi feel that he and Uchiha Qiaoshan are very close. After Uchiha Qiaoshan and Shisui finished talking about old times, they turned their attention to Uchiha Itachi next to him. Under the sunlight in the morning, you can see that Shisui and Uchiha Itachi both look dusty. Of course, for more than a week, they had been crawling around on this island, and they had no place to rest and recuperate. Of course you have to look a little tired, however, although he looked tired physically, he was full of energy mentally. After resolving the conflict between the Uchiha clan and the Leaf Village, and after these days of labor reform, Uchiha Itachi's gloomy all the chi has been eliminated, and the whole person looks warm and clean, which makes people feel very comfortable. Moreover, eating and living with other members of the tribe on Whirlpool Island these days also made Uchiha Itachi feel like he was integrated into them, and the barriers with them disappeared unconsciously. The progress in this area also made Uchiha Itachi feel like he was integrated into them. Uchiha Itachi was happy from the bottom of his heart. Uchiha Qiaoshan looked at the handsome sunshine boy in front of him and couldn't help but nodded. For Uchiha Itachi, his expectations are still very high. Uchiha Itachi is very talented, and his combat IQ is also ranked high in the entire ninja world, but he has too many things on his back, and he is in the later stages. In fact, he already had a tendency to be world-weary, so he died early. Otherwise, it would be absolutely easy for him to reach the peak of the shadow level, let alone the super shadow level. Uchiha Qiaoshan decided to chat with Uchiha Itachi and reminisce about old times before mentioning the matter of copying his pupil technique. After all, the pupil technique of the Mangekyō Sharingan is an eye that reflects the soul. The creation of the pupil technique is deep in his own heart. Expectations, so asking Uchiha Qiaoshan to copy the pupil technique is actually opening his heart to him, which is actually unwilling for most people. Of course Uchiha Qiaoshan didn't know that he now had a very high status in Uchiha Itachi's heart. Not to mention copying his pupil technique, as long as he gave him a reasonable reason, it was to take off Uchiha Itachi's Mangekyō Sharingan and give it to him. He and Uchiha Itachi will do it. Uchiha Qiaoshan looked at Uchiha Itachi in front of him with a smile on his face and said, "Itachi, what do you think of the island I am looking for? Not only is it large enough for our Uchiha clan to live on it, but it is also rich in resources. Even if the people of this tribe are isolated from the outside world and have no contact with the outside world, they can definitely be self-sufficient by just hunting, picking, and planting on the island. Moreover, you may not know that this island is surrounded by whirlpools and undercurrents, and ordinary people generally cannot come to the island. This is also very beneficial to the privacy and development of our Uchiha clan. Uchiha Itachi has been on this island for such a long time and is well aware of the resources and distribution on this island. Therefore, he is very satisfied with the island chosen by Uchiha Qiaoshan. Chapter 93: A First Exploration of the Akatsuki Organization. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 93: A First Exploration of the Akatsuki Organization. When Uchiha Itachi heard Uchiha Okayama's question, he paused for a moment, organized his words, and replied respectfully, returning to Mr. Ryama, Itachi admires the place you chose from the bottom of his heart. This island, whether it is secret sects or resources, are more than enough to satisfy the development of our Uchiha clan, and are very suitable for seclusion and self-development. When Uchiha Choshan heard Uchiha Itachi's words, he patted him on the shoulder with a smile. There's no need to be so restrained. We all have our own things to do. From now on, you can call me Shursui, and you can call me Big Brother from now on. Uchiha Itachi is actually a person who abides by the rules. Although Uchiha Choshan is only a few years older than him, whether it is Uchiha Choshan's deputy clan leader or Uchiha Sasuke's master, he is older than Uchiha Itachi. He is a generation older, and Uchiha Itachi now admires Uchiha Choshan, so Uchiha Itachi is called Uchiha Choshan-sama. However, Uchiha Itachi is not a pedantic person. Regarding Uchiha Choshan's request, Uchiha Itachi only hesitated for a moment and then changed his words, "Okay, Choshan brother." Uchiha Choshan was also very happy to see Uchiha Itachi change his mind, because it meant that Uchiha Itachi also agreed with him. In this case, it would not only increase the chance of copying Uchiha Itachi's pupil technique, but it would also be beneficial to his future development. Planning is also very beneficial. At this time, Uchiha Choshan opened his mouth but did not speak. Instead, he raised his head and looked around, hesitated, and said to Uchiha Shursui and Uchiha Itachi, "Don't resist, I will take you to a place where there is no one easier to talk to." With that said, Uchiha Choshan raised his arm and put his hands on the shoulders of Uchiha Shursui and Uchiha Itachi. Seeing that the two did not resist, he activated his pupil technique and passed the space mark he left on Whirlpool Island. The two were brought to the cliff at the other end of the Whirlpool Island. Uchiha Choshan let go of the two of them, took 2 steps, and came to the edge of the cliff. He looked at the vast sea in the distance and felt that his mind had become much broader. Here, they have a wide view and are not afraid of others hearing their conversations. Uchiha Choshan turned around and said to Uchiha Shursui and Uchiha Itachi, "Now, our Uchiha clan's plan to move out of Konoha village has been successfully completed. Next, as long as nothing happens, everything will be over. It won't be long before all of us, the Uchiha clan, will move to this island." Uchiha Choshan paused and then said, "So, whether it is brother Shursui or you, Itachi Uchiha, as the Uchiha clan, you have opened the existence of the Mangekyō Sharingan, and its strength has reached the Kage level, and, even at the Shadow level, he is one of the best. If you still stay in Whirlpool Island and be busy with these trivial matters, it will not only not help improve your strength, but it will also be detrimental to your future development." Uchiha Shursui and Uchiha Itachi heard Uchiha Choshan's words and nodded silently in agreement. Because they have already cleared away all the threats on Whirlpool Island, and staying here is indeed overkill for them. Ninjas are relatively clear about their own positioning and value. Seeing that they agreed with his point of view, Uchiha Choshan continued, "Therefore, in the name of the deputy chief of the Uchiha clan, I issue a task to you. I hope you can accept it and complete it with excellence." Uchiha Choshan paused, and saw that the faces of Uchiha Shursui and Uchiha Itachi had become serious, and then said, "Uchiha Shursui, Uchiha Itachi, I got information from secret channels. The original Rain Country Rain, the leader of the hidden village, Sancho Hanzo, has been killed, and the person who killed him is Pain, the leader of an organization called Akatsuki, and this organization is not simple. Its purpose may be to collect tailed beasts, ruling the entire ninja world. Moreover, the leader of this organization is not simple. His strength should have reached the Super Shadow level, and the other members are also well-known traitorous ninjas in the ninja world. Therefore, I entrust you to investigate this organization and master their intelligence. However, everything is based on your own safety, don't take risks. Moreover, some of them are not only targeting the nine-tailed Jinchuriki of Konoha village, but also our Uchiha clan." Having said this, Uchiha Choshan looked at Uchiha Itachi and asked, "Itachi, have you ever found an intruder in our Uchiha clan's territory?" That when Uchiha Itachi heard this, he immediately thought of the mysterious black figure in his mind. He nodded and confirmed, I have indeed found such a person. He is very mysterious and very powerful. Uchiha Okayama nodded. This person is a member of the Akatsuki organization. They have focused on our Uchiha clan. Although we have moved to Whirlpool Island and will not be easily found by them, there is no such thing in the world. Breathable wall, if we keep huddled on this island, sooner or later they will find it. Therefore, whether it is for the safety of Konoha village or our Uchiha clan, we must find out the details of this organization. This way we can take the initiative. After saying that, Uchiha Okayama looked into the eyes of Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi and asked, "How is it? This mission is still very dangerous. Are you confident to complete it?" Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi looked at each other, nodded and said, "No problem, for our Uchiha clan, we will definitely complete this mission." In fact, part of the reason why Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi were able to take on this mission was because of Konoha village. After all, they grew up in the village and received the education of the will of fire. Although the Uchiha clan and Konoha the village has seceded, but it is normal for them to worry about the Leaf village. Uchiha Okayama also knows this very well, but he is also the actual controller of Konoha village now, so he does not feel that Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi have betrayed him. Moreover, he also has the information about the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. It was added deliberately to increase their motivation and focus on the task. Seeing that the two of them accepted the task without hesitation, Uchiha Okayama showed a smile on his originally serious face and said, "The leader of the Akatsuki organization, Pain, is very powerful, and the other members of this organization, most of them also possess shadow-level strength, and their abilities are very strange and powerful. Therefore, when you enter Yuin village and investigate intelligence, you must pay attention to your own safety and do not rush in and be noticed by them." Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Shisui saw that Uchiha Okayama valued this organization so much, and their hearts became more serious. They nodded to Uchiha Okayama, saying that they must be careful. Uchiha Okayama hesitated for a moment, then seemed to have made up his mind and said, "I'd better give you an insurance policy so that no matter what, you can come back safely." Chapter 94 Granting the Space Mark. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 94, Granting the Space Mark. Uchiha Okayama seemed to have made a lot of determination before making this decision. After all, if he took such measures against Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, although he would protect them, it would also make them dependent in their hearts. Will have a negative impact on their future development, but I am very optimistic about their future. As long as they grow up, it will be a good thing for the future of the Uchiha clan. However, Uchiha Okayama changed his mind and thought that only by surviving can he have a future. After all, even Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, did not come back alive after entering Mangekyō village. Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha although Itachi has activated the Mangekyō Sharingan and reached the Kage level in strength, compared to Jiraiya, he is still a little behind in terms of strength and experience. Moreover, Uchiha Okayama believed that both Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi could overcome the sense of dependence in their hearts and truly grow up. After Uchiha Okayama finished speaking, he did not explain, but directly opened his Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. In the confused eyes of Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, he stretched out his hand in front of them and waved his hand gently. Erasing the simplified version of the spatial mark that Uchiha Okayama had left between their eyebrows, then, he stretched out his index finger and lightly tapped their eyebrows, leaving a sky-blue mark, which was a complete version of the spatial mark. This spatial mark flickered lightly for a few times and then slowly disappeared. Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi touched their eyebrows and felt something strange. They vaguely felt that this new space mark was different from the previous one, so they looked at Uchiha Okayama, waiting for his explanation. The space mark that Uchiha Okayama gave to Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi is the same as the space mark that he gave to Uchiha Mikoto. They can both come to his space through this space mark. However, he put the two space marks into the coordinates were changed to the newly acquired Kamui space in Uchiha Okayama. He is not stupid. Even if he wants to leave an insurance policy for Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha, he will not give them the spatial imprint of his Gao Tianyuan space. After all, Gao Tianyuan space has always been his own back garden, unless it is him. Only people she absolutely trusts, people controlled by other gods, will give her the Gao Tianyuan space mark, and will never leave any safety risks for herself. Then, Uchiha Choshan briefly explained the ability of this space mark to Uchiha Shisui. For example, by stimulating the space mark with chakra regularly, simple information can be transmitted to him. Refer to the Morse code. You can also directly enter his divine space through the space mark when your life's safety is threatened. However, after entering the Kamui space, there is no way to go out on your own. You can only wait in the space, waiting for Uchiha Choshan to find time to come to the space to pick them out. Of course, to be rougher, Uchiha Kiwama can also directly use the pupil technique, divine power, release them from within. Of course, there is another function at the end. When Uchiha Choshan encounters an emergency, he can directly summon them back regardless of what they are doing. However, this function is rarely used by Uchiha Choshan. After all, even he, Uchiha Okayama, found enemies difficult to deal with. Even if he summoned them, it wouldn't be of much use. Only then did Uchiha Shisui and the two realize why they felt that this space mark was different from the previous ones. It turned out that this space mark connected the space of Uchiha Choshan, allowing them to leave a path when encountering irresistible danger. A life-saving escape route. After Uchiha Choshan and Shisui checked the space marks, he said with serious eyes, "The space marks I left on you should only be used as a last resort. Don't be dependent on them. You must know that the real marks are the strong ones always rely on themselves." When you develop a dependence mentality, it not only means that your path to becoming a strong person will be ruined, but also when you are doing tasks, your psychology will be different and you will relax your vigilance, giving the enemy a chance to kill with one strike. In view of this, I made a rule. As long as those who come back through the space mark during the mission, they will automatically be judged to have failed the mission and be confined in the confinement room for 3 days. Then, other punishments will be formulated according to the specific circumstances. When Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi heard this, they also understood the seriousness of the matter. They stood upright, their expressions became resolute, and their expressions were solemn to express their understanding. After formulating the rules in this area, Uchiha Choshan breathed a sigh of relief. After all, Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi were both rare geniuses of the Uchiha clan. If not counting cheats, it was Uchiha Choshan who faced them. But also to stay away. Originally, this generation of the Uchiha clan, which has so many geniuses, should be a sign of great prosperity. Unexpectedly, after various accidents, not only did there not be great prosperity, but only 2 or 3 people were wiped out. After that, only 2 or 3 people were left. Uchiha Sasuke is an only child. Moreover, Uchiha Okayama didn't quite understand Uchiha Sasuke's thoughts. He had been determined to revitalize the Uchiha clan since he was a child. Why was he still running around when the ninja world entered a peaceful period? Shouldn't he have more children quickly to increase the Uchiha clan population? He only had one daughter and stopped giving birth. Could it be that he wanted to let his daughter take on the task of revitalizing the Uchiha clan? When her daughter gets married, will the Uchiha surname become extinct? Uchiha Choshan shook his head and put the matter of Uchiha Sasuke behind his mind. Sasuke is still young now, so he can slowly educate him to let him know the benefits of having many children and being blessed, and make it his own responsibility to promote the Uchiha clan. After all these things were explained, Uchiha Choshan looked at Uchiha Shisui and asked, "Shisui, have you told Itachi about the pupil technique of my Mangekyō Sharingan?" That when Uchiha Shisui heard Uchiha Choshan ask, he immediately understood his plan, but still shook his head. "Without your permission, I will not leak your information to anyone, including Itachi, of course." Itachi Uchiha heard the words of Uchiha Choshan and Uchiha Shisui, but turned to look at them in confusion. After all, he also had the pupil technique of Mangekyō Sharingan, although he felt that this pupil technique was very powerful and improved his own strength. It's big, but there's no need to keep it secret like that, right? When Uchiha Shisui saw Uchiha Itachi's expression, he didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at Uchiha Choshan, asking whether he needed to explain to Uchiha Itachi. After all, Uchiha Choshan was going to copy Uchiha Itachi's pupils later. When doing the technique, you also have to tell him. Chapter 95 Amaterasu vs Tsukuyomi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Choshan saw Shirsue's eyes and understood what he meant. He nodded and signaled Uchiha Shirsue to tell Uchiha Itachi the function of his pupil technique. Uchiha Shirsue got Uchiha Choshan's consent, then turned around and told Uchiha Choshan about the functions of Uchiha Choshan's two pupil techniques, the gap between time and space, fake, and the copying pupil. After Uchiha Itachi heard Uchiha Shirsue's explanation, he was also shocked. He did not expect that Uchiha Choshan's two eye skills were so incredible. Compared with Uchiha Choshan's, his eye skills were inferior. Somewhat dwarfed by comparison, at the same time, I also understood where Uchiha Okayama's ability to predict came from. After all, he had only known from Shirsue that Uchiha Choshan had the ability to foresee things, but he did not know that he could see fragments of the future. Then, Uchiha Itachi asked belatedly, "So, did Brother Kiwama also know about the Akatsuki organization through the pupil technique?" Seeing Uchiha Itachi react, Uchiha Shirsue just smiled, because he had already guessed it when Uchiha Choshan issued the mission to him. And Uchiha Itachi, faced with Uchiha Itachi's question, Uchiha Choshan nodded, and said, "So, what I said before is true, not some false information, so you and Shirsue must be sure to do it when you go on a mission. Be careful." Uchiha Itachi nodded, opened his Mangekyō Sharingan directly, and introduced to Uchiha Choshan, "Brother Kiwama, my Mangekyō Sharingan also gave birth to two pupil techniques. The name of the pupil technique in my left eye. It's called Tsukuyomi. After the pupil technique is activated, it can pull the enemy's spiritual body into my illusion space. In the Tsukuyomi world, all factors, including time, space, quality, etc., are controlled by me. The enemy is in my the tremendous pain endured in the illusion space will be reflected on him and cause a devastating blow to the enemy's spirit. The pupil technique of the right eye is called Amaterasu. After the pupil technique is activated, it can release extremely powerful black flames through the focus of the line of sight. Only if it is burned, it cannot be extinguished until the target is burned. However, this eye surgery puts a heavy burden on the eyes, so you must be careful when using it, otherwise it will cause irreversible visual degradation of the eyes." Uchiha Choshan breathed a sigh of relief when he heard Uchiha Itachi introduce his pupil technique. It seems that although he asked Uchiha Itachi to awaken the Mangekyō Sharingan earlier, he did not change his pupil technique. This is good. He was afraid that his appearance would change Uchiha Itachi's eye skills. If some garbage eye skills were awakened, Uchiha Itachi's future might be bleak. After Uchiha Itachi introduced his pupil technique, he looked into Uchiha Kiwama's eyes and said seriously, "Kiwama brother saved the lives of the Uchiha clan and Shirsue brother, although Kiwama brother did not say anything about the future fate of Sasuke and me. However, even my parents were killed, so it is estimated that the fate of Sasuke and I will not be very good. In this way, Brother Choshan also changed the fate of Sasuke and me, therefore, I trust Brother Choshan. Although Brother Choshan and I don't get along much, like Brother Jishue, I will be able to entrust my life to Brother Choshan." Uchiha Itachi paused and then said, "Now that I know the pupil technique of Brother Kiwama's Mangekyō Sharingan, I am also willing to hand over my pupil technique to Brother Kiwama so that it can be used by Brother Kiwama. Play some role." Uchiha Choshan looked at Uchiha Itachi's sincere eyes and replied seriously, "Don't worry, I will definitely live up to your pupil skills." Then, Uchiha Choshan also opened his Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan, and successfully copied Uchiha Itachi's pupil technique. At the moment when Uchiha Choshan copied the pupil technique, the sound of the system also sounded in his it clicked in my mind in time. Congratulations to the host for successfully copying the pupil technique, Tsukuyomi. The system is learning and digesting it. It is expected to be available for use in 3 hours. Congratulations to the host for successfully copying the pupil technique, Amaterasu. The system is learning and digesting it. It is expected to be available for use in 5 hours. Uchiha Okayama was a little confused when he saw the system prompts. In his opinion, Tsukuyomi and Amaterasu are both very practical ice skills, and their value should be about the same. Why does Amaterasu take longer to learn than Tsukuyomi? Then, Uchiha Okayama realized that it should be the functions of Tsukuyomi and Uchiha Fugaku's pupil technique, illusion. The functions are partly overlapping, and Amaterasu is a brand new pupil technique, so Amaterasu's learning it takes longer to digest than studying in Tsukuyomi. After Uchiha Qiaoshan copied all Uchiha Itachi's ice skills, Uchiha Qiaoshan's goal this time was achieved. Then, Uchiha Okayama chatted with Shisui and Itachi for a while, and at the same time told Uchiha Itachi to pay attention to his body and not to use the Mangekyō Sharingan too much to avoid overdrafting the body and causing blood diseases in the body. Seeing Uchiha Qiaoshan repeatedly telling Uchiha Itachi to take care of his body, not to mention Uchiha Itachi, even Uchiha Shisui felt something was wrong, because one of Uchiha Qiaoshan's pupil skills was precognition, although Uchiha Qiaoshan did not tell them clearly. However, with their sensitivity, they also knew what was going on. There must be something wrong with the future Uchiha Itachi's body. For a moment, not to mention Uchiha Itachi, even Uchiha Shisui's mood couldn't help but feel depressed. Uchiha Qiaoshan looked at the depressed two people in front of him, patted their shoulders, and said, don't worry, I know it in my heart, and I will definitely find a solution." Uchiha Shisui and Itachi were not ordinary people. After only being depressed for a while, they controlled their emotions, and with the comfort of Uchiha Qiaoshan, they rekindled their fighting spirit. After all, the future is not immutable, even Shisui's death can be changed, and it shouldn't be difficult to save Uchiha Itachi's life. Uchiha Qiaoshan looked at the two people who had recovered before him, and thought silently in his heart, Tsunade, the future fifth Hokage, whether it is for Sister Mikoto or my people, I will terminate your journey, and I believe you will too. After having enough fun outside, I'd better let you come back early to take over the position of Hokage. I believe that your teacher Yuan Fei will be very happy. Uchiha Qiaoshan looked at the sea in the distance again and admired the scenery here. After both Shisui regained their composure, they took them back to their original positions. After Uchiha Okayama returned, the great elder Uchiha Ling had already discussed the matter with Uchiha Fugaku, and asked Uchiha Fugaku to go back first, and he, the great elder, would take his place and lead the clan members to build the clan here. After a while, let Uchiha Qiaoshan send the clan leader back and continue to fulfill his obligations as the clan leader. Chapter 96 The Courage of the Patriarch. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Qiaoshan looked at Uchiha Fugaku, who had a calm face, and didn't say anything. He just said a few words to the elder, then put down enough supplies for these tribesmen to live for several months in an open space, and took Uchiha with him. Fugaku, Shisui, Itachi and some clan members who wanted to go back to rest used the pupil technique Takamagara to return to the Nanga shrine in the Uchiha clan. However, as the clan leader, Uchiha Fugaku did not immediately disband the clan. Instead, he gathered all the clan members together and prepared to give some instructions. As the leader of the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Fugaku has a stern face every day, so many clan members are afraid of him, even the elites of the Uchiha clan are no exception. When Uchiha Fugaku asked the clan members to gather together, everyone came obediently without any objection. Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi looked at each other, and followed the clan members and came to Uchiha Fugaku. Uchiha Fugaku stood in the hall of Nanga shrine, with the tall statues of gods usually enshrined behind him. Against the backdrop of the ferocious statues, Uchiha Fugaku seemed even more fierce. Uchiha Qiaoshan looked at Uchiha Fugaku in front of him and felt a little uneasy. If he hadn't known that Uchiha Fugaku in front of him had fallen into his trap, he would have been ready to run away at any time. Uchiha Fugaku looked sternly, looking at the group of tribesmen in front of him with oppression, and said in a serious tone, "Tribesmen, you are all the elites of our Uchiha tribe, and you are also the future of our Uchiha. I believe that after this vortex, as for the exploration and cleanup mission of the island, you also know very well that that is the future clan territory of our Uchiha clan. Therefore, when I come back to rest this time, I ask you in the name of the clan leader not to reveal the new address of our clan. This is related to the future security of our Uchiha clan. From now on, keep this matter sealed in your heart. Don't think, don't want, don't say, don't mention, don't leave any information in any way. If you can stay at home, don't go out. Even if you go out, try not to leave the clan area. If you have something you want to buy, you can please ask your family or friends. If there is something you want to do, please trust your family and I will help you handle it properly. Because Uchiha Choshan also mentioned some fragments of the future to Uchiha Fugaku also knew that the future Konoha village would go through various risks, so he did not want the Uchiha clan to be involved, so for Uchiha and the clan's new clan land, Uchiha Fugaku must keep confidentiality measures in place. As long as you can't find me, even if you want to target me, you can't. Uchiha Fugaku suddenly glanced at Uchiha Choshan who was standing next to him, and said, also, regarding the time and space ninjutsu of deputy clan leader Uchiha Choshan, his confidentiality measures are at the same level as the confidentiality measures of the new tribe just now. These don't say anything even at home. After all, not only do walls have ears, but there are also secret techniques similar to those of the Yamanaka clan, which can also reveal the secrets in your heart. Therefore, for the safety of your family and the future of our Uchiha clan, please keep it strictly confidential, please. As he spoke, Uchiha Fugaku, the clan leader, actually bent down and bowed to the clansmen in front of him. Seeing Uchiha Fugaku actually bowing to them, not to mention Uchiha Choshan, even these tribesmen were shocked. After all, Uchiha Fugaku was their clan leader, and he usually had a fierce face. Such a change was a big surprise to them. The shock was too great, and at the same time they understood the importance of the clan leader. They also hurriedly bowed in return and said in unison, "For the glory of Uchiha, don't worry, clan leader." At the same time, those tribesmen who were a little dissatisfied had already worked hard outside for so many days and finally came back to rest. They still asked for this and that. Under Uchiha Fugaku's bow, their dissatisfaction had long since disappeared. Uchiha Fugaku raised his head, looked at the excited clansmen in front of him, encouraged them a few more words, and then dismissed them with a wave of his hand. Uchiha Choshan watched the whole process from the side, and he admired Uchiha Fugaku's methods. He did not expect that this thick-browed Uchiha Fugaku actually had this skill. Among those present, Uchiha Shisui was probably the only one. Itachi and he were not emotionally moved by Uchiha Fugaku. The reason was not because they were determined, but because of their identities, whether it was Uchiha Itachi, the son of the clan leader, or Uchiha Itachi, the deputy clan leader, Uchiha Okayama, and the genius Uchiha Shisui, because their status is closer to Uchiha Fugaku, so they did not react much to his actions of these courtesy corporals, while ordinary clan members have long been under the leadership of the clan leader. I was moved under this halo. After these tribesmen left Nanha Shrine in 2s and 3s, only 4 of them were left at the scene. Uchiha Fugaku looked at Uchiha Itachi and Shisui, and said, "Itachi, you and Shisui should go back first, so as not to worry your mother. I still have some things to discuss with Choshan. Tell your mother to prepare more meals. I will go back with Choshan-jun in a while. Shisui, you should also finish your meal before going back." Uchiha Itachi looked at his father, then at Uchiha Choshan, did not speak, just nodded, and then went back with Uchiha Shisui. After the two of them walked away, Uchiha Fugaku complained to Uchiha Choshan, "Choshan-kun, you are too careless. How did you get Mikoto pregnant? Fortunately, I didn't tell anyone about my injury. Only Mikoto knows. If Itachi knew there was something wrong with me, he would be suspicious. This would not only hurt Itachi, but also affect the relationship between mother and son. In that case, Mikoto would be very sad. If the clan members know that the child is not mine, it will have a great impact on my prestige as the clan leader, and lead to some disharmonious conflicts within the Uchiha clan." When Uchiha Fugaku heard Uchiha Fugaku's complaint, he touched his nose in embarrassment. He had no way to answer these questions. After all, Mikoto-san was Uchiha Fugaku's wife. Although he liked Mikoto-san also liked him, although it was under the influence of other gods. Uchiha Choshan was still embarrassed when facing this true master, therefore, Uchiha Choshan could only fool Uchiha Fugaku again. Uchiha Choshan looked at Uchiha Fugaku, suddenly opened his Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan, looked directly into Uchiha Fugaku's eyes, and said, "Clan leader, look at my eyes. Are they any different from before?" Chapter 97 A brief discussion of the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Fugaku was still calm about Uchiha Choshan opening the Mangekyō Sharingan. After all, if Uchiha Choshan was willing, he could give his life to him, so he didn't worry about Uchiha Choshan doing anything bad to him. At this time, after hearing Uchiha Choshan's words, Uchiha Fugaku noticed that Uchiha Choshan's Mangekyō Sharingan was different from what he had seen before. Not only was it more refined than the previous pattern, but it was also much more complicated. Feel it carefully. If so, you can still feel a slight sense of oppression. Uchiha Fugaku looked into Uchiha Choshan's eyes, and suddenly he seemed to have thought of something incredible. The expression on his face could no longer be stretched, and his face was full of surprise. The pupils in his eyes seemed to have been stimulated by something, and he couldn't stand it anymore. He shrank violently for a moment and exclaimed, "Are you the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan?" Uchiha Choshan didn't expect that Uchiha Fugaku could recognize his eyes as the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan so quickly, but when he thought of the stone tablet at Nanga Shrine before, and the fact that Uchiha Fugaku also had the Mangekyō Sharingan, he knew these things are not surprising. Now that Uchiha Fugaku had recognized his eyes, Uchiha Choshan stopped showing off and simply nodded to acknowledge. Uchiha Fugaku's guess. Uchiha Fugaku was recognized by Uchiha Okayama, but his surprise did not diminish at all, because he believed that there was only one way to upgrade from the Mangekyō Sharingan to the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan, and that was to blind his loved ones. In exchange for his Mangekyō Sharingan, he could obtain the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan, and Uchiha Okayama is now an orphan. Not to mention brothers and sisters, even his parents have been sacrificed and he has no close relatives at all. Under this situation, he actually got the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan without saying a word. This is what makes Uchiha Fugaku extremely puzzled. Uchiha Choshan looked at Uchiha Fugaku and asked, "Have you also seen the stone tablet at Nanga Shrine?" Although Uchiha Fugaku didn't understand why Uchiha Choshan asked this question, he still answered honestly, "Well, I saw it. The method of advancing the Mangekyō Sharingan is also seen from above. You can read the following content. It's gone. I guess I need the more advanced Mangekyō Sharingan." As he said that, Uchiha Fugaku took another look at Uchiha Okayama's Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. How could Uchiha Fugaku not understand Uchiha Fugaku's thoughts? He waved his hand and said, "Forget the content on the stone tablet. Although the content above is true, it is mainly misleading and the information is incomplete." Uchiha Fugaku was even more surprised when he heard Uchiha Okayama's words, "This stone tablet is a treasure of our Uchiha clan. Although it is not a powerful weapon, it has been passed down for many years. According to legend, from our Uchiha clan, appearing in the ninja world, this stone tablet is already in the clan, so how can the record on it be wrong?" Uchiha Choshan looked at the clan leader in front of him who was as deceived as Uchiha Madara. He knew that he couldn't convince him unless he came up with something, so he pointed at his eyes and said, "I didn't say anything about it either. It's wrong, but the records are incomplete, and the method of advancing the Mangekyō Sharingan left behind is also a wrong way. My pair of Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan is the proof. I don't have any close relatives who can give me a pair of Mangekyō Sharingan. I figured this out all by myself." Uchiha Choshan said, as if he remembered something. He patted his head, took a scroll from the space, and threw it to Uchiha Fugaku. "This scroll was passed down from the past by our Uchiha clan. I was inspired inside and found a way to evolve the Mangekyō Sharingan into the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan." Uchiha Fugaku took the scroll and quickly opened it to read. After all, the side effects of this Mangekyō Sharingan and the method of advancing to the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan have been tormenting him in the past few years, especially after knowing these days after Uchiha Itachi also awakened the Mangekyō Sharingan. Although he was very happy about Uchiha Itachi's talent, it was urgent to find another way to advance the Mangekyō Sharingan. After all, he has 2 sons, and he only has 1 pair of Mangekyō Sharingan. If Uchiha Sasuke also awakens the Mangekyō Sharingan in the future, will he have to watch one of his sons go blind? There was not much content in the scroll, and Uchiha Fugaku finished it in a short time. However, after reading it, Uchiha Fugaku still did not get any inspiration from it. He raised his head in confusion and looked at Uchiha Choshan. What is recorded in this is us. The origin of the Uchiha clan and the life story of ancestor Indra. I basically knew these when I was a child, and there is no way to advance the Mangekyō Sharingan mentioned above. Uchiha Choshan took the scroll back from Uchiha Fugaku's hand angrily. It is because we have known things since childhood that we take it for granted. You have also seen that ancestor Indra has no brothers. Due to conflicts with Asura, he did not recognize Asura as his brother. Then what does it mean that Indra did not lose his sight even in his later years? That when Uchiha Fugaku heard Uchiha Okayama's question, he blurted out the answer. The eyes of ancestor Indra are of course the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. Uchiha Fugaku hadn't finished speaking yet. He seemed to have remembered something and murmured, Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan, Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan, no brothers, no brothers. Then, Uchiha Fugaku seemed to be awakened, and looked at Uchiha Okayama next to him, staring at him with his eyes. He was so excited that even his Sharingan opened involuntarily. Seeing that Uchiha Fugaku finally understood, Uchiha Choshan did not care about his rude attitude and said, I also got inspiration from this record. Although the ancestor Indra was talented, he did not brother. How did he evolve the Mangekyō Sharingan into the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan? After many experiments, I finally evolved my Mangekyō Sharingan into the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. Uchiha Choshan glanced at Uchiha Fugaku, knowing that he was in a hurry now, so he stopped teasing him, and continued, I observed and felt that my Sharingan evolved from the 3 Magatama Sharingan to the Mangekyō Sharingan. At that time, not only the chakra and spiritual power increased exponentially, but also our own Yin attribute also increased a lot. Moreover, with the divine power of the Mangekyō Sharingan that I mastered, Susanoo my level is getting higher and higher, and my own Yin attribute is getting higher and higher, so I have a bold idea. Chapter 98 Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Izumi. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Choshan paused and then said, I guess if our Yin attribute and spiritual power are getting stronger and stronger, our Mangekyō Sharingan will become stronger and stronger until it exceeds a limit. Our Mangekyō Sharingan will become stronger and stronger. The Sharingan will evolve into the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. Speaking of this, Uchiha Choshan pointed at his eyes and said with some pride, it turns out that my guess is good. As long as you constantly remind yourself of your mental power and develop your own Yin attribute, you may also need to add a certain degree of by increasing your physical strength, you can evolve your Mangekyō Sharingan into the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. Moreover, when your own conditions are close, you can actually vaguely feel which of your conditions have not been met. Therefore, unless one's own talent is really not enough, otherwise, there is no need to use such bloody and inhumane methods. Uchiha Fugaku digested Uchiha Okayama's words, and finally took a deep breath, finally figuring out the matter. In this way, Uchiha Itachi and Sasuke will have one more choice in the future, and there will be no need for brothers to fight each other. Then, Uchiha Fugaku returned to the original topic, then how did you get Mikoto pregnant? Fortunately, I didn't go to Whirlpool Island for a long time. It can be said that it was before I went. When Uchiha Fugaku brought up the old story again, Uchiha Choshan still touched his nose with some embarrassment and explained, recently, haven't the clan members proposed to have more children to strengthen the Uchiha clan? And I am also a little curious, if as the child of the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan, his talent will be very high, so by accident, Sister Mikoto got pregnant. After Uchiha Choshan finished speaking, he knew that his reasons were somewhat untenable, and he laughed awkwardly a few times. Uchiha Fugaku didn't expect that this was the reason Uchiha Choshan gave him, so he could only give Uchiha Choshan a deep look, turned around and walked out, and said, Mikoto should have prepared the meal, and you don't want it either. If you're looking for food elsewhere, come to my house. Sasuke is about to start school, and you have to fulfill your responsibilities as a master. After hearing Uchiha Fugaku's words, Uchiha Qiaoshan thought that he indeed had something to do and went to his house. He could only smile and touch the back of his head, then shamelessly followed Uchiha Fugaku and came to his house to have a meal. When the two arrived at the Patriarch's house, Sister Mei-chin had already led the two maids to prepare the meals and was waiting for them. Uchiha Fugaku sat in the main seat, and Uchiha Qiaoshan sat in the deputy seat. Since there were no outsiders today, Mikoto-san was also sitting in a seat next to them. It's just that Uchiha Itachi is a little abnormal. He seems to be restless. He has completely lost his usual composure. Instead, he looks at the little maid standing next to him every now and then. It seems that he has something to say, but he can't say it. Uchiha Fugaku, who was sitting in the main seat, had noticed Uchiha Itachi's abnormality and didn't think much about it. He just put down the chopsticks in his hand and said to Uchiha Itachi with a serious face, "Itachi, pay attention to your manners." Uchiha Itachi finally realized that he had indeed behaved a little abnormally, and after apologizing to Uchiha Fugaku, he returned to normal, but Uchiha Qiaoshan was secretly laughing in his heart at this time. Uchiha Qiaoshan took a piece of fish and put it in his mouth, but his eyes secretly glanced at the serious Uchiha Itachi and the obedient little maid Uchiha Izumi standing next to him, and the corners of his mouth turned up a little. One of the reasons why he shamelessly came to Uchiha Fugaku's house for dinner was to see Uchiha Itachi meet his little girlfriend, which would definitely be quite interesting. Therefore, when Uchiha Qiaoshan saw Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Izumi trying hard to pretend not to know each other, he secretly smiled in his heart. After everyone finished eating, Uchiha Shisui didn't stay too long. After all, it was not his own home, and he was not comfortable staying here. He said goodbye to Uchiha Fugaku after a while, and Uchiha Fugaku didn't stay too long. After all, both Shisui and Shisui had just returned from Uzumaki Island, so they must be tired and needed to go back to rest. When Uchiha Qiaoshan saw Shisui saying goodbye, he also said goodbye to Uchiha Fugaku. The main reason why he came here was to watch Uchiha Itachi's jokes. Now that his purpose had been accomplished, of course he had to run away. Just like that, Uchiha Qiaoshan and Shisui said goodbye together and walked out. After leaving the clan leader's door, Uchiha Shisui relaxed a lot. Because he and Uchiha Qiaoshan hadn't had a good chat together for a long time, so the two of them walked home while chatting. Uchiha Shisui's home and Uchiha Okayama's home are both in the same direction, but Uchiha Shisui's home is closer to the clan leader's home, so the two of them arrived at the door of Uchiha Shisui's house first, and Uchiha Shisui's home. Shisui just wanted to say goodbye to Uchiha Qiaoshan, but unexpectedly, Uchiha Qiaoshan had followed him to the door and looked at him. With a smile, Uchiha Shisui was stunned, and immediately understood. Without saying anything, he immediately opened the door and walked in with Uchiha Qiaoshan. The two of them didn't stop anywhere else, and went directly to the most secure small room in Uchiha Shisui's house. After Uchiha Shisui closed the door to the room, he asked Uchiha Qiaoshan seriously, "Qiaoshan, what's going on?" Uchiha Qiaoshan still had a relaxed smile on his face. Seeing Uchiha Shisui's prepared attitude, he comforted him, "Shisui, don't be nervous, it's just a small matter." As he spoke, he raised his hand and patted Uchiha Shisui on the shoulder. After hearing what Uchiha Qiaoshan said, Uchiha Shisui breathed a sigh of relief and said, "Since it is a trivial matter, you just said it just now, and you don't have to follow me to my house." Uchiha Qiaoshan shook his head. "Although it is a small matter, if others see it, it will have a bad impact, so it is better to come to your house to handle it." Uchiha Shisui was very direct. "What's the matter?" Uchiha Qiaoshan didn't talk nonsense. He opened his Mangekyō Sharingan and looked at Uchiha Shisui. Then, Uchiha Qiaoshan's Sharingan turned slightly and launched a shot at Uchiha Shisui. Invisible eyesight, Uchiha Shisui's eyes also turned into 3 Magatama Sharingan eyes, which turned a few times before slowly closing. When Uchiha Shisui opened and closed his Sharingan involuntarily, he concentrated on it. When the Sharingan closed, he closed his eyes involuntarily and sensed it carefully. After waiting for a while, Uchiha Shisui slowly opened his eyes and looked at Uchiha Qiaoshan with a complex expression. "I felt it this time." You left another transfer seal in my eyes. Izanagi, what are the activation conditions set this time? Chapter 99 Uzumaki Naruto and Uzumaki Karin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Uchiha Qiaoshan heard Uchiha Shirsue's words and said with a smile, you've made progress. This time you can even detect the technique I put in your eyes. Don't worry, it's still the same as before, it's just an insurance. The triggering condition is that after you are killed, you are resurrected in good physical condition 5 seconds later. Uchiha Shirsue did not follow Uchiha Qiaoshan's smile, his face was still tightly tensed, and he looked into Uchiha Qiaoshan's eyes and asked, what is your price? What is the price you pay? The reason why Izanagi became the Uchiha clan's forbidden art is because the cost is too high. No matter if your eyes are 3 Magatama or kaleidoscope, as long as you use Izanagi, the eyes that use this forbidden art will be permanently blind. I don't believe that there is no cost for you to use this forbidden technique. So, Qiaoshan, tell me the cost of using Izanagi. Otherwise, there will always be a thorn in my heart. Uchiha Qiaoshan was silent for a moment when he heard Shirsue's words. In fact, later on, he also realized that as long as he used Izanagi once, his Yin-type chakra would inevitably decrease. However, because of the system, the cost for him was almost negligible. The little Yin attribute chakra he consumed came back within a few days of practice, leaving him almost unaffected. However, this was related to the system. How could he let Uchiha Shirsue know? Faced with Uchiha Shirsue's question, Uchiha Qiaoshan just laughed and said with a smile, it's okay, don't worry. The impact on me is very small. In comparison, your life's safety is what I care about more. After Uchiha Shirsue asked the question, he had been observing Uchiha Qiaoshan's expression. After hearing his answer, he was silent for a moment, and then nodded clearly. Uchiha Qiaoshan also breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that Uchiha Shirsue stopped asking questions. Then, as if he remembered something interesting, he opened his Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan and said to Shirsue with interest, Jishue. Water, Shirsue, look. Look, my Mangekyō Sharingan is different from before. It's like a child showing off his new toy. Next, Uchiha Shirsue was inevitably shocked by Uchiha Qiaoshan. After all, he also had the Mangekyō Sharingan, but he had only heard of the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan but had never seen it. Then, Uchiha Qiaoshan told Shirsue some of his newly discovered knowledge and how to advance the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. During this period, in order to let Uchiha Shirsue understand more thoroughly, he also pulled Shirsue into the illusion space and demonstrated the entire process to him. At the end, Uchiha Qiaoshan patted Uchiha Shirsue on the shoulder. Shirsue, I'm already one step ahead of you, so you have to work hard. I believe you will do better than me. After all, your talent is better than mine. Although Uchiha Qiaoshan encouraged Uchiha Shirsue in this way, he also knew that Uchiha Shirsue faced many more difficulties than him. After all, he had systematic help and could copy the pupil technique. When they were using the pupil technique, they had copied the foundation of their Sharingan at the same time. Uchiha Qiaoshan had gathered the pupil technique and foundation potential of many Mangekyō Sharingan, and was able to copy his own in such a short period of time. The Mangekyō Sharingan evolves into the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan. Regardless of whether it is Uchiha Shirsue or Uchiha Itachi, they do not have such convenient conditions. They can only think of other ways to hope to accomplish the same feat as Uchiha Qiaoshan. In fact, Uchiha Qiaoshan has other ways. Although it cannot help Shirsue and Itachi upgrade the Eternal Mangekyō Sharingan, it can also greatly increase the usage time of the Mangekyō Sharingan. However, the current Uchiha Qiaoshan is temporarily if he can't do it yet. When he can do it, it won't be too late to tell Shirsue and the others. After Uchiha Qiaoshan told Uchiha Shirsue all this, he left without delaying his rest, and told Uchiha Shirsue to have a good rest. After 3 days, he will arrange for him and Uchiha Itachi to leave the village and go to Yuin village to gather information, and just when Uchiha Qiaoshan and Uchiha Shirsue said goodbye and left, in a corner of Konoha village, something happened due to the influence of Uchiha Qiaoshan. On this day, Uzumaki Naruto woke up unexpectedly late. He had no choice but to drink some expired milk last night, which caused him to have diarrhea for half the night. It was only at dawn that his stomach stopped fussing, and Naruto fell asleep in bed. Fell asleep, as a result, while he was sleeping hazily, he felt some commotion around his house. Normally, this is impossible, because he lives on the top floor of this house, and although there are spare rooms around, they are all empty. After all, the civilians in Konoha village hate and fear him. How could we be neighbors with him? Therefore, although there is still an empty room on the top floor of this house, no one has come to live in it since Naruto Uzumaki can remember it. Therefore, in normal times, the surroundings of Naruto's house are quiet, and it is impossible for anyone to make trouble. Make noise. Uzumaki Naruto suddenly woke up when he heard the commotion outside the room. He held his breath and listened carefully. After listening for a long time, Uzumaki Naruto finally confirmed that a new resident had indeed moved in next to his room. After Naruto was sure, his heart beat loudly and his face turned red. He also hopes that there are neighbors next to his house. Although they are not directly accompanying him, they also make him no longer so lonely. In the dead of night, there is no movement next to him, as if the whole world has abandoned him. This kind of loneliness suffocated him. Uzumaki Naruto waited for a while, letting his pounding heart slowly calm down, and tidied up his somewhat worn clothes. He also wanted to change his clothes, but he could only wear the clothes he was wearing. On the body, Naruto took a deep breath, slowly opened the door to the room, stuck his head out, and looked at the door next to him. He was afraid that there would be another person who was hostile to him. His requirements were not high. He just hoped that his new neighbor would treat him equally like Uncle Yile and not be hostile or afraid of him. Uzumaki Naruto slowly poked his head out and saw a beautiful older sister who looked very gentle, standing there and thanking the workers who helped her move the furniture. This eldest sister has beautiful red hair, which makes her look like she is full of sunshine and vitality. While Naruto was watching blankly, the elder sister seemed to feel the movement. She turned her head slightly and saw this stupid little guy sticking his head out, giving him a smile full of sunshine and kindness. Chapter 100 Xiang, Phosphorus and Naruto. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Uzumaki Naruto saw Uzumaki Karin smile, he was stunned. Because this is the second time since childhood that I have felt the kindness of others. The first time was the third Hokage. Moreover, whether it was the bloodline of the Uzumaki clan or the intuition of being a Jinchuriki, they all told Naruto that the kindness of the beautiful elder sister in front of him was very pure and completely different from what he felt from his third-generation grandfather. Although the third-generation grandfather also had good intentions towards him, he was also wary and had some complicated things. What he felt from this eldest sister was that kind of very pure and very warm kindness, which made Uzumaki all of a sudden. Naruto fell into it. After Uzumaki Karin sent away the workers who moved the furniture, she saw Uzumaki Naruto staying at his door, standing there helplessly. Uzumaki Korei smiled, came to Uzumaki Naruto, squatted down, and looked at the child in front of her with some distress. The half-old clothes, the unwashed little face, the dry and frizzy hair, the height that was shorter than her peers, and the faintly sallow face all told her that she was a poor little person who had no one to take care of her. In fact, if Uzumaki Naruto hadn't had the blood of the Uzumaki clan, he might not even have a chance to grow up. Uzumaki Korei touched the frizzy hair of the child in front of her, and said with a loving expression, "Hello, Uzumaki Naruto, this is the first time we meet. I am Uzumaki Korei. Please give me your advice in the future." Uzumaki Naruto blushed shyly when Uzumaki Korei stroked his hair. After hearing what Uzumaki Korei said, his eyes suddenly opened wide and he looked at the beautiful big sister in front of him and stammered. Asked. Uzumaki Korei, the eldest sister is also named Uzumaki like me. Is the eldest sister also from the Uzumaki clan? In fact, Uzumaki Naruto didn't understand what the Uzumaki clan and the blood of the Uzumaki clan were. He had only seen other ninja families in the village and knew that they had the same last name. It's a family, that's why I asked. Uzumaki Korei looked at Uzumaki Naruto's longing eyes and nodded gently. Yes, I am also from the Uzumaki clan, and I am also your mother's good friend who grew up together. In that case, I am still your aunt. Woolen cloth. Uzumaki Naruto was completely stunned by the news. He stared blankly at the beautiful elder sister in front of him. As if in a trance, an invisible light slowly radiated from the person in front of him, not only shining into him and his heart, his whole world was illuminated. Uzumaki Naruto almost lost his ability to speak, and stammered as he repeated Uzumaki Karin's words, "Auntie, auntie." Uzumaki Korei looked at the stupid Uzumaki Naruto in front of her, the look of pity in her eyes became stronger, and she replied gently, "Yes, I am a good friend of your mother, Uzumaki Kushina, who grew up together. And there are also relatives, but after the war broke out, we were separated. I had just arrived in Konoha village. I didn't expect that Kushina had a child. Moreover, the son was so old, so according to seniority and relatives relationship, you should call me aunt." Naruto Uzumaki looked at the big sister in front of him, feeling like he was dreaming, and finally confirmed, "Are you really my aunt?" Uzumaki Korei looked at Uzumaki Naruto's dirty little face and longing eyes, and said calmly but firmly, "I am your aunt. I have confirmed it from the third Hokage. You are Uzumaki Kushina. Stay here." His son, Uzumaki Naruto, so there is no need to doubt it, the third Hokage can confirm it. Uzumaki Naruto looked at the beautiful elder sister in front of him. Oh, no, the beautiful aunt was looking at him warmly. For some reason, it seemed like endless grievances burst out from the bottom of his heart. Uzumaki Naruto knew that he should behave well now so that the aunt he just met would have a good impression of him. He also knew that he should not cry. Otherwise, what should he do if the aunt he just met hates him? But now, Uzumaki Naruto just couldn't control himself. After confirming that the warm elder sister in front of him was his relative, he couldn't control himself anymore. Uzumaki Naruto threw himself directly into the arms of Uzumaki Korei in front of him, and began to cry loudly. Moreover, he couldn't control it, and he just kept crying, as if he had all kinds of grievances in his heart, and he couldn't express them. Faced with Uzumaki Naruto's sudden change, Uzumaki Korei did not resist at all. She just put her hand on Uzumaki Naruto's back and patted him gently when he cried in her arms. When Naruto Uzumaki cried, he immediately attracted the Uzumaki Kaso who had been in the room just now. Uzumaki's character was a little more lively at this time than when he was in Kusakure village. When he poked his head out of the room and saw a little boy crying in his mother's arms, he was just about to speak when Uzumaki stopped him. Xiang Ling stopped with a gesture. Uzumaki Koro opened his mouth and closed it again. He looked at the little boy curiously, but said no more. When Uzumaki Naruto's wails turned into sobs, Uzumaki Korei patted Naruto on the back, motioned him to get up, and said, "Naruto, get up first, I'll introduce you to a younger sister. You know each other, from now on, you will be brothers and sisters." Uzumaki Korei persuaded Naruto on one side, and waved to her daughter Uzumaki Korei who had been looking over here, asking her to come over. When Naruto got up from Aunt Xiangling in embarrassment, Uzumaki Xianglan had already run up to him on his short legs and stood in front of his mother and Naruto. Naruto's face immediately turned red when he saw such a cute little girl running in front of him and still so close. Uzumaki Koro looked at the little boy who suddenly appeared in front of him with some curiosity. Uzumaki Korei smiled and said to Naruto, "Naruto, she is my daughter. She is younger than you. She will be your sister from now on. You can't let others bully her." Uzumaki Naruto did not expect that on this day, he would not only have an aunt, but also a younger sister. This younger sister was so cute. Hearing what Uzumaki Karin told him, he nodded repeatedly. Then, Uzumaki Korei said to Kaoru again, "Kaorin, he is your Naruto brother. Let him play with you and protect you from now on, okay?" Xiang Lian looked at the red-faced and helpless little boy in front of him, nodded, and said to Naruto, "Hello, brother Naruto, my name is Uzumaki Xiang Lian. Please give me your advice in the future." When Naruto Uzumaki heard Xiang Lian's words, he nodded again and again, speechless. Seeing that the two little guys were getting along well, Uzumaki Korei stood up, holding one in each hand, and walked towards home. As she walked, she said, "Okay, it's time to eat now, let's go home. Cook and eat."